we're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's April 17th here in Seoul. I'm Shin-Yeun, and you're watching News Generation. Joining me in the studio is Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
And Kwon Ju-hyun.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. As part of efforts to balance out the high apple and pear prices in South Korea, the government imported record amounts of pineapples and mangoes last month. The Customs Office on Tuesday said the number of pineapples brought in from abroad in March increased by 44.7% compared to February. Mango imports also rose by 114% on month. With more supply, the price of these fruits also came down. And France is making last-minute preparations for the upcoming Paris Olympics, but President Emmanuel Macron on Monday said the opening ceremony planned for the River Seine could be relocated to the country's national stadium if the security threat is deemed to be too high. Originally, more than 10,000 athletes were to travel through the heart of the French capital on boats along the Seine. But Macron noted that security and logistical concerns are notably high for the 6-kilometer parade, which requires more consideration. The French government has also decided to limit tourists from watching the opening ceremony due to such security concerns, instead granting access via invitation only. And due to the quick advances in AI, we're expecting to see most of our smartphones boast high-quality AI functions. According to a market research firm, Counterpoint Research on Tuesday, for the year 2027, 4 out of 10 smartphones are expected to heavily use artificial intelligence. As of this year, only 11% of all the smartphones distributed in the local market had AI functions. And the research firm further analyzed Samsung Electronics to be pioneering the AI smartphone market, namely since it has launched the Galaxy S24 series, which has many AI features, including circling to search products and photos, live translation during calls, and voice transcription services. Now, I'd like to ask our panelists in the studio if they've ever tried out these AI functions on these new phones or electronic devices, and are you for or against AI becoming a primary function or basic feature we can easily use on a daily basis?
Yes, so yeah, everything will be AI, except for human beings.
Exactly.
Right. And I am willing to buy one for myself, even though it will be quite expensive, going to say from now on, and because it will improve my working efficiency and it will be convenient, right? But I'm sure people will be obsessed with their AI smartphone. They're going to look at it when they cross the road again and again. And also, it raises concerns about privacy, job displacement, and reliance on technology. So it's quite important to think about the balance, embracing AI's advantages with safeguarding our human values.
But I'm just awed as how far technology has come. I remember back when I was in middle school, the only function on my phone that I would like to boast to my friends was having games. But now to see AI functions there, which allows live translation when you're calling someone from a different part of the world, that's amazing to see. Now, is this a game changer for you as well? And is it a determinant as to what you want to do when you buy a new phone?
Well, personally, at the moment, I don't really use too many AI functions because I don't really need them at the moment. This is excluding actually already AI built-in functions such as Face ID, voice recorder, voice recognition, etc. I do use things like ChatGPT, but that's really more so on my computer than on my phone. Now, it's not a matter of am I with or against using AI functions? It will come down to there will be no other choice. So eventually AI will take over all smartphones in a lot of applications. So like they say 2027, I'm imagining that it could possibly be earlier because the way that AI is moving at the moment is just almost hard to catch up to.
Exactly, and as much as it's developing in such quick speeds, I think it's really important that we better capture our AI literacy rate, and hopefully the government has some plans there to work with different companies to boost the public's awareness on AI and how to use it safely. Now, in the meantime, let's turn to our main discussion topic of the day now. Retirement might seem a long way off for many in our generation, but it is still a key issue, especially since South Korea is expected to become a super age society by next year when 1 out of 5 people are older than the year 60. Now, also with better medical technology, our life expectancy as of last year was 83.5 years old, and that's 3.3 years above than the OECD average. With more time after retirement preparing for post post-work life seems to be a critical issue, which is exactly why we're going to be talking about how millennials and Gen Z are preparing for retirement. So let's start with that question here. Though you are young, are you preparing? Yes. Are you preparing for retirement?
Yeah, so I've been preparing for retirement for some time now. Ever since I really started a full-time job, I had a national pension fund. This is all the way in Australia now. I'm actually worried that I might not be able to get that national pension fund since I'm living now in Korea for quite a long time. But this is, I've changed also in Korea to more personal savings, as well as I'm also part of the national pension fund now, as it's the law for many foreigners who live here for a certain amount of time. But even though I do have these things of like savings and national pension funds to put money into, I still stress whether I'm doing enough to, look into the future and hopefully, be able to have a comfortable retirement, because I'm already thinking about opening a chicken house.
Oh, that's amazing. So
Yes.
even though you're quite young and you're just beginning to build your career,
Yeah.
you are still putting it on the back of the head because it's inevitable. You have to think about
I
retirement.
have to.
And
yes.
even though that requires you to build your own chicken house, I'll be excited to see that. What about you, Ji-hyun?
Well, I'm not going to retire yet, not yet, but I haven't managed to set aside specific savings for retirement. My assets include like a state pension that Walter mentioned, and also my apartment, which comes with a lot of debt, and deposits in property, and a little bit of savings. And I do have a small amount of money invested in US stocks. In fact, my husband and I are planning to invest more in stocks in the future if we got plenty of money and expand our business as part of our retirement preparations.
So you guys are preparing for retirement, which is understandable. But I must say, as a person in my late 20s, it's very hard to keep this as a #1 priority. And I think today we're going to be speaking on behalf of many millennials and Gen Z out there that think that though it's very important to prepare for retirement, it's really hard to. And which is why I hear a lot of people, including myself, are quite anxious when we think about this concept, right, Walter?
Yeah, that's right. So actually, if we take a look at the screen, I can actually show you how young people in Korea are feeling these days. Now, we can see that 48.7% of young Koreans are, like you, quite nervous about retirement. I would definitely fall in this category as well. Now, 32.1% are overwhelmed. I would also fall into this category as well. 12.2% really don't know what the future holds for them in retirement, which is also, I guess, something very common for people at our age. It's all about live in the now, FOMO, you only live one sort of thing. And 7.2% are excited. Those people, I don't know who they are, I want to find them. But yes, something I really envy, 7.2% are excited about their retirement.
I'm with you there. I really envy them because I'm not excited. I'm either overwhelmed or anxious. But Ji-hyun, would you like to add on as to how millennials and Gen Z are viewing retirement?
Of course. Well, many people in our generation think about retirement as something far away and uncertain because money and living longer are uncertain. And some people don't actually trust the ordinary way of retirement plans, like saving monies in the bank account, and look for ways like buying stocks, funds, or buying houses. In fact, in Korea, buying houses is a thing, including myself. People are obsessed with buying their own house, having their own property. And I believe that this is kind of a part of their retirement plans. Yes, that is indeed.
And I think it would be different for millennials or Gen Z who have children.
All right.
Because that is also a very big variable as to planning out for your retirement, right?
Yes, indeed. I have two kids, two sons. As parents, thinking about retirement is quite overwhelming. It's quite stressful sometimes. As our children grow in Korea, we've got to think about the increasing education expenses and retirement funds at the same time. But I heard from an expert on a social network. He said investing in our children's education is a wise long-term investment strategy. You know what? The reason? Because this could be one of the reasons that many people here are willing to pay their education expenses for their children. And I'll tell you the reason. Supporting your children's education demonstrates your commitment to their success or well-being in the long term. And this also suggests that prioritizing investments in children's education can alleviate the need for additional investments later on. However, we don't want to burden them, our children in the future, when we grow old, so we've got to prepare in advance.
So in the long run, they think investing in their children since they are young, especially given that they're living in a hyper-competitive environment like Korea, that's a very interesting way that people are preparing for retirement. But I do have to mention that's not for everyone.
Not for everyone, yes.
You do need to be financially stable in order for you to consider that option. And which is why a lot of people from our generation feel like it's a bleak future ahead of them. It's really hard to prepare for retirement. Nonetheless, we're still trying to. So would you like to walk us through on that front?
Yeah, sure. So if we take a look at the screen again, we can see how other young Koreans are planning for their retirement. Now, in a survey with 2,385 MZers responding, 50.1% are adding money to their national pension fund. So that's the majority. 37.2% are just saving their money in their own personal accounts. And talking about personal accounts, 14.8% have their own personal pension fund. This could be through banks that have high interest rates and plans, etc. And 7.7%, again, for some reason, the lowest statistic always seems to have the best outcome, have real estate investments, which I think is extremely hard to find and extremely hard to buy for real estate investments.
Once again, I'm very jealous about that because
Yes.
real estate investment's very stable, but then again, it's so scarce. You need to have a lot of money in order for you to actually go there. Now, Chuyang, would you like to add on as to how more people from our generation are preparing for retirement?
Of course, of course. Well, it's reported that the millennials and also the Gen Z generations are investing more in gold than previous generations. We have gold in our mouth, right?
Yes.
And many of them are also planning to increase their investment in dividend-paying products. And they are particularly proactive in investing and actively seeking information regarding stocks, funds, and houses. And the majority prefer ETFs or the exchange-traded funds over other options like saving banks and regular mutual funds. And they also tend to purchase some high dividend US stocks as well.
Exactly, and we're seeing with more financial regulators, for instance, the States and Hong Kong allowing that, I think a lot of people from our generation who are really interested in crypto or ETFs are getting on board, and which could be analyzed as a positive view, but we'll have to include an expert to find out more. But in the meantime, we also asked our viewers from other parts of the world to share their own know-how or hacks on how they're preparing for retirement. If you take a look at the screen, you can find out what 3 of them had to share with us. Let's start with Tasmia. Tasmia said, gaining financial knowledge and saving money is my way of preparing for my retirement because you'll need money the most after hitting old age. Ben says, there are some insurance companies providing programs of investment, so a person can get a certain amount of money monthly according to the plan, and this helps to support them when they get old and are not able to work for long hours. Sayan said, I'm working on accumulating assets for my retirement. Over the next 10 to 15 years is my focus asset accumulation period. And we're now going to include a professor of business administration to better find out about how we can better prepare for retirement. Stay tuned for our live interview. We're now going to include a professor of business administration in our talks. It's Professor Park Min-jung from Kumo National Institute of Technology. Welcome, Professor Park.
Hello, good morning.
All right, as we were talking about, why do you think our generation is concerned about retirement even though we're in our 20s, 30s, maybe early 40s? And what's their biggest concern as of this moment?
Yeah, actually, these days, the recent young generation, we call Gen Z, they showing an increased concern for their retirement assets because due to a influence of unique socioeconomic factors over recent days and also global trends, and also they differentiate from their outlooks compared to the previous generations. Actually, the key reasons for they worried about their retirement is that maybe the first key principles are the economic instability. Actually, these days, Gen Z and the young generation enter the workforce after the COVID-19 of economic disruptions or some significant economic downturns, such as the 2008 financial crisis. So it makes them too worried, and also they experiences the instability and some interest. It means do not trust the traditional financial systems and worried about their retirement after they in retirements. And also, secondly, that there's a notable shift to notable gig economy jobs and also freelancing and some contract working. They are not exist in the past. Actually, in the traditional employment systems, some benefits in men's retirement plans are sponsored by employers, but these days they are not also exist. And also, they are some these days the consumes are very very high. It means the consumes of healthcare and education, and also some of housing incomes, housing payments are increased. So they have no more monies and investments to save in long-term perspectives.
You mentioned,
okay.
sorry, you mentioned the global trends. How would you read into the trend of more millennials and Gen Z preparing for retirement?
Yes, so these days Gen Z is worried about that, and also they proactively invest in some more various investment trends, but they are some only financial and education and awareness are perceived. It means they are now living in an era of the systems. It means they experience a lot of online platforms, and some financial online educations are very accessible. It means they can read a lot of materials and accessible to any good information anywhere and so anytime. So they can a lot of leverage technology systems, and some can get a lot of information. So these trends are very nature of the tech-safe nature of these days.
Professor Park, ever since the US and Hong Kong allowed trading of ETFs, we've seen more youth in Korea use this as their investment method as well. How do you evaluate this trend, and is this a smart way to go?
Yeah, actually, the recent allowing ETF in the global world, it makes youth in the Gen Z generation tries to, and also some have a tendency to invest in new alternative systems in means including ETF or some cryptocurrencies. Because ETF has some distinct characteristics. It means they are very transparent and also cost effectiveness, and also some of accessibility makes young generation tries to invest ETF. It means transparency means ETFs offer transparency in their holdings, allowing investors to see exactly what assets they own in their portfolio. And also this transparency aligns with the Gen Z demand for clear and more direct information about where their money is going on.
I see. And Professor Park, before we let you go, apart from ETF and crypto then, any stable way we can prepare for retirement? Can you give us one tip?
Yeah, maybe better prepare retirees has to need to be a lot of advances are needed. But one tip for is that they have to set their clear goals. It means why they invest for cryptocurrency, ETF, or some of traditional stocks. To why they invest, it means it has a long-term goal or mid-term goals, or only short-term goals such as they made for ready to trip or travel or making a house. So they have to set clear goals, and also they have to leverage some of new technologies and a lot of information they can accessible through by internet or a lot of podcasts.
I see. So in a nutshell, do your research, visualize what you want to do after retirement, and then plan how you would be saving up your money. Thank you so much, Professor Park. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. And before we end off today's episode, I would like to ask our two panelists if they have their own tips or suggestions as to how to better save up for retirement.
Panic. No, for me, it's just save. Like the professor said, I do have a goal as to what I want to do. I've told you I want to live in the mountains. It doesn't cost that much. I could just live off the water that comes down the mountains, and I don't need electricity. I won't need a phone. I won't need to communicate with anybody. But on a serious note,
I mean, which mountain are you going to live in? Because it's really hard to do that.
There's a lot of mountains around here, probably just across the road, actually.
You know where to find it.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, yes, we do have a plan that we want to do this by the end of certain, maybe 60 or 70. My wife and I do have a plan. But at the moment, for us personally, it's just save, save, save. She is investing, but for me, just saving.
Save, save, save. And I think you have to choose your route. Whether you're going to make a chicken house one day, you're going to be a chicken house CEO, or go up to the mountains, that's up to you. But then save, save, save.
Both.
Or do both. What about you, Jian?
I don't think I can live in the mountain, also because of the delivery service.
That's true. Yeah.
Of course.
Or if
you just nodded your head, right?
Chicken house is in the mountains.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
that would be
That would be a
incredible.
great idea. Anyway,
Well, in my opinion, I think we should absolutely take action and prepare. You should definitely know how much you need a month and you will spend a year. By getting this detail, you can prepare in advance. And of course, it's great to see lots of young people getting interested in investments at a young age. And it appears to be one of the ways to adapt to a low growth economy and, aging society.
exactly. And it's worth noting that the government is better preparing for this super age society, which we'll be entering to next year. The retirement age in Korea is in the early 60s. Maybe some companies are being more innovative in allowing it to be 65. But as technology gets advanced and we're having longer life expectancy, I think maybe from our generation, our retirement age might even be more postponed. So hopefully we'll see the government and the public go hand in hand to better prepare for what we'll be seeing very soon. Now, in the meantime, we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Walter Lee
Lovely to be here.
and Hun Jian.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.